You see, belief is really the key. You go back, William James from Harvard in 1900, he said, believe, and your belief will create the fact. I've got a pretty interesting history with belief myself, Kathleen. I was studying it, and I knew that all religion and all personal growth material in science or history, everywhere they tell you, you've got to believe. I mean, that's the final chord. And I thought, well, how do you believe? That was really puzzling me. And I realized I had changed my belief, and that, of course, changed my entire life. But I thought, how did I do that? What did I do? Because I had such a burning desire to share this with everybody I knew. I mean, I thought, this has worked this way for me. I want it to work for everybody. I was in a hotel here in Toronto where I was in the coffee shop, and I was having, it was either lunch or breakfast with Leland Van de Waal. He was just an extraordinary guy. He was a mentor of mine. And it was in idle conversation. We weren't talking about belief, but it was just in idle conversation. He said something. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a thing, our belief about it will change. Well, God, just like that, I knew exactly what had happened. I started studying this book years and years and years ago. And I'd read it every day. And I was reevaluating, everything I was studying, what I was doing was reevaluating myself. That's exactly what you did. You are reevaluating you. And you realize that it's all about you. And as we reevaluate ourselves, we start to see the potential that we've got locked up. I mean, it's enormous. There's no end to it. Our potential is infinite. That means there's no beginning, no end. Doesn't matter how well you do, you can do much better, 10 times better, 20 times. You can just keep going, going, and going. And it's the belief that does that. You've got to believe that. If a person's having difficulty with belief, Kathleen, I think what you're teaching is going to change that. Your coaching will definitely shift a person's belief. And when they do that, everything changes. Like I've often mentioned, people don't earn $100,000 a year because they want $100 a year. They're earning $100 a year because they don't believe they can earn $100 a month. Now, when they change their belief, I mean, just like that, everything changes. Relationships, income, business, everything shifts dramatically.
Yeah, it's so true. And I keep seeing it over and over and over again, where people will shift their beliefs about themselves and their outside world changes. But some people then will shift back to old beliefs, will go back to old patterns and programs, so things don't become permanent. So what do you think is the best way for people to shift their belief on a permanent basis versus a temporary basis?
Well, I think shifting belief is a process. I don't think you say you change it month by month. I think when you shift your belief, it seems like it goes for so long, and then you sort of hit a wall and you start over again. Because I don't think it changes. I don't think there's a permanent change. There's a permanent change that you believe what you can do. Like, I believe I can do this. But then when you go further, I don't believe I can do that. See, we've got infinite potential. I mean, we could walk across the water if we believed it. If we believed it, we would make our body weightless and just walk across the water. But we don't really believe we can do that. To believe we can increase our income? Yeah, we really believe we can. How much do we believe we can increase it? Well, just take a run at it and you'll find out. It's an interesting game when you start to play it. And I've been playing with it for a long time. See, you're into something here that's very, very big, Kathleen, and you have an extraordinary talent for sharing it. It's not just getting it, it's the transfer of the information that makes things so wonderful. See, some people change, but they're not able to show somebody else how to do it. You have, and I developed that, you see. That's what made me different in this industry and in this business. And that's what you did. And we have other people that do this, but it's uncommon when somebody like you comes along, because you've got such a unique ability to transfer the information. That's really what mentoring is all about. It's the shifting of energy from your mind to their mind. And as you explain things to them, they start to understand it. They've got a deeper understanding of it. And that's when their life starts to change, because they start to believe. And that's where mentoring comes in. I don't know how a person would really, well, a person's not going to grow very far without some kind of mentoring. They're just not going to do it. I've studied this for too long. And I do know that there's a lot of people that study it and don't go anywhere. They just keep reading and studying and going to seminars, and yet nothing really changes a little bit. They may increase their income by 10% or something like that, but not 500% or 5,000%. And that is possible. Like, I went from $4,000 a year to $175,000 a year within the year in 1961. That was an incredible change. But it was done through mentoring. It was done through studying this particular book that Ray Stanford gave me, and then the mentoring that he gave me. He said, if you do exactly what I tell you, until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about, because you can have anything you want. Well, I didn't believe that, but I believed he believed it. And you see, I think if the people that you're mentoring do exactly what you tell them, they can have anything they want. See, unfortunately, there's too many people look at what does it cost. Well, if they relate the cost to the result, it's ridiculous. But they've got to do that to find that out. They don't understand the change that's going to take place. And when you see people multiplying their income by 5 and 10 times and even more, you start to realize the value of education, the value of really studying and understanding. And that's what's really happening here, I think. That's what's happening in your programs. I think that's why you're so effective.
Yeah, I see that too. And I think for me, one of the most important parts for me in shifting my belief was shifting from seeing all the people that were doing what I wanted to do instead of just noticing those that weren't. And so when I see somebody achieve something, I allow that to become my belief that I can do that too. And so I use other people's success as evidence. So those that came before me were simply examples of that for me. So another little thing that I found with that too.
That worked. That's very interesting, because that's true. I've often said, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Well, I heard people say that. And I had mentors that said that. And I had to take them at their word, because I didn't know they were performing. I mean, the results were there, and you can't deny that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just when you think somebody is different from you, that they have something you don't have, you put them on some sort of a pedestal, then it becomes unattainable. So it's really.
That's ignorance that causes somebody to think that. That is ignorance. Yeah. Our only problem, ignorance is our only problem. And when we think someone else can do something that we can't do, that's just an admission we don't know much about ourselves. And what you were saying, when I see somebody else do it, I know I can do that. You're adopting their belief. That's a good example. It's a good way to do it. Yeah, essentially, that's what I did. I wasn't thinking of that, but that's exactly what I did. Yeah. And I suppose that's what anybody does that really wins.
Yeah, totally agree. So people come on to many of our trainings, and by the time they're done watching the training, they've built this desire for themselves of what they want to achieve. So they build a picture of a lifestyle, a business, relationships that they want. And so we know that decision making is one of the most important things in the attainment of those things. And I know you and I both love this topic. So, what do you think can help people to make decisions more easily?
Well, I know what people have to do. Decision making, first of all, they have to understand that everything in the universe operates by law. And if we're going to go from here to here, we're changing the frequency that we're operating on. We've got to understand we think, and we think on frequencies. Thought is a form of energy. It's the most potent energy there is. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. I worked with Captain Edgar Mitchell, who was the captain on one of the lunar landing modules on the Apollo flights. He was doing thought transference exercises from the other side of the moon to Sherman and Ford down in Florida. And it was written up in Science magazine, but there were thought transference. He was actually transferring thoughts from his mind to their mind. Well, that's done on a frequency. Think about this. Here's a phone. And I can phone you. If your number's in here, I phone you, I hit the number, and bang. Like that, we're on the same frequency. And there isn't any time or space. We're together right here, right now. Well, we think on frequencies. And decision making is a matter of flipping onto a higher frequency. And the only prerequisite to make a decision is, do you want it? Not can you do it. If you're going after things you know how to do, you're not going to go very far. You've got to go after things you don't know how to do. And that's rather shocking news to some people. But if you're going after things you know how to do, you're going to be going sideways. There's no growth. You've got to understand decision is about growing. Put the slide up for a minute, Scott. Let me show you something here. There's a frequency. Let's say these are frequencies. They're levels of vibration. And here's the frequency where we're operating right now. And everything we're getting because we're thinking on this frequency of let these represent thoughts. We're thinking on this frequency. What you want is up here, maybe on this frequency. Well, if you're trying to get what's up here, while you're thinking down here, it isn't going to happen. That's like trying to get FM music when you're on an AM band. It isn't going to work. You've got to move on to the higher frequency. In other words, thanks, Scott, you've got to see yourself doing it. You've got to be there. And you've got to think of yourself doing it. So the only prerequisite to a decision is, do you want to? If you want to do it, you've got to understand you can. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. It's all by law. And I think what's different in what we're teaching is we're teaching people something about themselves. We're teaching them that they do think on frequencies. See, your brain is an electronic switching station. As you activate different brain cells, it alters the vibration in various parts of your body. Well, what we're doing is flipping our brain onto a much higher frequency. And of course, you start to get everything that's on that frequency. That's how you get the good that you desire. It's not an accident that people that are losing, all of a sudden like that, they're winning. They've flipped onto different frequencies of thought. And that's really where it's all at. And if people don't do it, they're staying where they are. See, people come out of university with all kinds of degrees, but they don't go anywhere. They stay stuck. And they don't know why they're stuck. They're stuck because they don't alter what's going on inside. So I think as the people in your course, as you start mentoring them, they're going to start to look at thought as something totally different. It's like way back 1903, James Allen wrote As a Man Thinketh. It's a phenomenal book. I've read it, reread it. It's a little thin book, but As a Man Thinketh. And you do become what you think about. And the movie's The Secret. That's what it was based on thought vibrations. So it's an educational process. And the more you learn about it, the more comfortable you become with it. You see, it's not an accident, Kathleen, when you stop and think. I never even went to high school. I went to high school for 2 months. So you could say I have a grade 8 education. I had absolutely no business experience. But I started to study this information with a very good mentor. And this is not taught in school. He made that very clear to me. So he said, if you really pay attention, do exactly what I tell you. Until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. And I would say that anybody that's listening to Kathleen, if you do exactly what she's telling you, until you find out she's lying or she doesn't know what she's talking about. She does know what she's talking about and she doesn't lie. She is, without question, one of the best coaches that I have ever run across. And I've been studying this. It was 60 years in October, this past October. And I've worked all over the world working with coaches. Every now and then you run across one that's really got their head screwed on right. This lady has.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Bob. I've been wanting to ask you this question for a little while, and I'm curious to know your opinion. I know for me, in shifting in becoming a quicker decision maker, making decisions and keeping them, as Napoleon Hill talks about. But where do you feel that faith comes in decision making? Do you think that people, the stronger their faith, the easier it is for them to make decisions?
Yes, but it's got to be faith based on understanding. Blind faith isn't worth anything. Blind faith, you first bump in the road, you've lost it. Faith has to be based on understanding. And as you understand how your mind functions and the laws of your being, then you're going to have a lot more faith. Now, I have been working with this for a long, long time. And I'm thoroughly convinced that the more you study, the stronger your faith. Because you get to a point where you don't have to know how it's going to happen, but you know it must happen because you're working with laws. Dr. Werner von Braun said the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building spaceships, sending people to the moon, and you can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Now, he's considered the father of the space program. And laws are essential. Everything in the universe operates by law. Like winter never follows winter. When the tide goes out, the tide comes back in. These are laws that govern this. Well, there's a law of perpetual transmutation. When you get an idea in your mind and you hold that idea in your mind, that starts to control your frequency, controls your behavior, and it controls what you attract to you. And the idea in your mind then begins to move into form. That's called the perpetual transmutation of energy. And it moves into form. Well, the more we understand the laws, the better off we're going to be. And I think the beautiful part of everything you're teaching, it's all based on laws. And it's based on very, very sound material. So, faith is a very big component in success. But we've got to understand that it comes with understanding. Like Solomon said, in all you're getting, get understanding. When you have understanding, your faith is stronger. Like you don't know how to get there, but you know you're going to. You have faith that you will, because you start to understand how the laws work,
Oh, that is so good. Such a good way of putting it, because a lot of people ask me, how do you grow your faith? And so the very simple answer there then is to study, because with study comes understanding, and then comes faith. So I love that, Bob. Such a great answer. Another thing that I wanted to ask you as well is, Neville's wife talks a lot about the difference between investing money and spending money. So what is your take on the difference between the two?
Oh, well, it's when you invest, you're putting money to work for you. When you're spending it, it's gone. Mm-hmm. You get something for it, but it's gone. When you invest it, it keeps working. Like an investment in this program, you're going to collect on this for the rest of your life. The return on this investment, I wouldn't even want to guess at what you would get back, because it's way beyond the investment. Absolutely no question about that. And our problem is we're letting our paradigms control us when we think about investing. And put that screen up for a minute, Scott. If you look at this, Kathleen, we'll say here's the mind and here's the body. Now this was Dr. Thurman Fleet come up with this drawing because nobody had ever seen the mind. Mind is movement. Mind's not a thing. The mind is divided into two parts. Here's the conscious, and this is the subconscious part. Now, you have a paradigm that's here in the subconscious. This paradigm literally controls almost all of our habitual behavior. When you think of doing something, and you get this idea you're going to invest a certain amount of money, the paradigm will probably try and stop you. Because you are not educated to invest in yourself. That is not where we've been taught. So when you go to do that, the paradigm tries to stop you. You've got to take that idea of investing and you've got to turn it over to this part of your mind. You've got to get emotionally involved in it before you act on it. And when you start to get emotionally involved in the idea of investing, the paradigm starts to kick in and tries to stop you. You've got to override it and tell the paradigm to get out of town. You're tired of staying where you are. You're going to go where this idea, this investment will take you. Thanks, Scott. Now, anybody that doesn't understand this is going to have problems. You have a paradigm and you've got to override the paradigm. Your paradigm is trying to keep you where you're at. That's how a paradigm works. And if you don't override it, you're going to stay exactly where you're at. What you've got to ask yourself, I think, is where was I a year ago and where am I now? Where was I 2 years ago and where am I now? Where will I be next year if I keep doing the same things? See, the truth is nothing changes. Why do you think 96% of the population never really make any great changes? That's why the change you've made, Kathleen, the change I've made, it's unusual. Because we overrode the paradigm and we stepped out and we bet on ourselves. When a person does that, they're living in a different world. Follow the advice of people that have gone somewhere and done something. Then you're going to find the change is all going to be very positive. Spending is it's gone and it's gone. Investing is it keeps coming back. I have an affirmation that I've been using for a long time. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Every morning when I wake up, I have earned more than when I went to sleep. You see, I have money working for me while I'm sleeping. It's working all night long. You know, you can earn more money when you're sleeping than you can spend when you're awake. Now that may sound like ridiculous statement, but it's the truth. And there's a number of people, I know a number of people that have it working. Kathleen has it working, I have it working. You see, we earn money all around the world, but it's not daytime all the time all around the world. But wherever it's daytime, we're earning money. Now, you can do the same thing. That's what we're teaching. We're teaching people how, through the right investment, everything in your life can change. You invest in you, then you're going to start investing in other people. Yeah. And when you start investing in you and start investing in other people, my God, the change that you see. I see people change like night and day. Listen, for 5 years, I've been at this a long, long time, but for 5 years, I used to go to Kingston Penitentiary. Now it's closed now. It's something like Alcatraz is closed. Well, Kingston Penitentiary was maximum security in Canada. I used to go in there once a month and work with the people for 2 or 3 hours. And they had some bad actors in there. There was one guy, the warden called him a mad animal. And I made an arrangement with the people in charge of this that anybody could come to the classes. There was no, you can, but you can't. Anyone could come to the classes that I was teaching. Well, this guy heard that and he came to the class. You know, I had him, after a while, he'd been sentenced to 27 years. He had been in solitary confinement when I met him for 7.5 years. It wasn't too long, that guy was paroled. I had him paroled to me. I took him, when I went to England to open an office, I took him with me. He was one of the best people I had ever had. I watched people, he was really a bad person that became a very good person. See, the good is inside every one of us. The potential's within every one of us. And it was the experience that I had with the people I worked with in the penitentiary. That changed my belief again. When I could see the change that they would make in their life. Kathleen said earlier, when I see the change other people made through their belief, I adopt that belief. Well, that's like I was watching. I was watching people that they'd almost thrown away the key for these people. I watched them change. And I had them come work with me on a special parole. They tore up the parole and gave them their passport so they could come to England. Everything changes. I have watched so many changes take place. This is the greatest information. See, the problem is in our educational system, we learn virtually nothing about ourselves. What do you know about your mind? How does your mind function? You know, what do you know about inner images that you've got in your mind? Most people know nothing about this. We're going to teach you something where you've got power, you've got the potential, you've got more power in your little finger than you would need to light up the building you're in for probably a week. Our whole body is nothing but a mass of energy. Put the slides up for a minute, Scott. Here, look here. Let me show you something. I want you to look at this for a moment. This is you. If you were standing in front of an infrared television camera in a completely dark room, this is what you would look like. You would be a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. There's energy flowing from us. And you feel that energy. Thanks, Scott. Take it down. Now, you feel that energy. You'll feel another person's energy. If a person's troubled, if something's bothering them, you feel it. If a person's really enthused about something's really good happening, you feel that. We send energy off into the universe. That's what attitude is. Our thoughts, our feelings, and actions we're sending into the universe. God, what you learn in these programs is just mind-boggling. And it's very small investment. I mean, a ridiculously small investment relative to the return. The return, It goes on year after year after year. There is no end to it. I would be almost embarrassed to tell you what I earn. No formal education, no business experience. But I've got an education that you can't buy. I have studied with some of the most brilliant people in the world. And that's what you're getting. You're getting all this information. Thanks, Guy. You can take that down.
Oh, that is so good. With that picture that you just had on with that energy field, I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that very quickly into this material, that field around me started to expand. It started to go outward. And I think that's where people became more attracted towards what I was teaching because of the change and the shift within me. And so what I really like to say a lot of the time, Bob, is that this really isn't about me. It's not about you. It's about all the people around us that we impact when we go inside, we challenge and change ourselves. So for anybody who's listening today, who really has that desire to make that change, they really want to help other people around them. We all want to make an impact on others. What would be your best piece of advice for them as they're listening to us today? What steps would you say that they should take going forward?
Well, I think the first thing they should do, see, we all want to help other people. That's almost inherent within the human being. We're spiritual beings. And spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. So we all have a desire to help other people. We really want to do that. If you really want to help other people, you got to start by helping yourself. You see, I can only help Kathleen grow to the extent that I've grown. So I think we have to make up our mind, we're going to change. We're going to change over the next year. You do this for the next year, you'll do it for the rest of your life. But over the next year, I'm really going to work on me. I'm going to work with Kathleen Cameron, and I'm going to work with her for a year. I'm going to do everything she tells me. I'm going to listen to her. I'm going to listen to every word she says. I will act on every suggestion she gives me. You're going to automatically start sharing that with other people, and you're going to see the change take place in them. There's one program that we have where we teach people, leave the person with an impression of increase. Leave the person you're talking to with an impression of increase. Cause them to feel good about themselves. But if a person really wants to change and help other people, they've got to start with themselves, Kathleen. You know the way I look at it? Let's look at it this way. Let's suppose you lost the investment and nothing happened. What are you out? A very little bit of money. Let's suppose everything Kathleen is telling you and I'm telling you is true. What are you going to get? You're going to be rewarded for the rest of your life. Now think of this for a moment. I have been in this business since 1966. I started to study this book in 1961. In 1966, I come into this business. I have worked all over the world. Literally, I've been to China, I've been to South America, right down to, I've been all over Europe, all over Asia. I've built a phenomenal reputation over the past 50, 60 years. Do you think I would jeopardize my reputation to endorse what Kathleen's doing? There's absolutely no way that I would do that. This is important that you understand. What this woman is teaching is so phenomenal. You have this instinct, this innate desire to help other people. The people that are closest to your own family, then your friends. I've got this so strong that I work at it every day. I help people all over the world every day. You've got to start helping you. You've got to really understand how to help you. That's what Kathleen's book's all about. She got to know herself. She got to understand who she is, what she's capable of doing. And my God, what this woman has done in just the last, not even 2 years yet, I don't think. I don't think it'll be 2 years till the fall, is it? I've lost track.
Yeah, it's actually only been about a year and a half.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, for this, what the change that's taken place in Kathleen Cameron and her family, her life, her husband's life, the kids, it's almost unbelievable the change that's taken place. I'm quite sure her friends and family must wonder what's happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. She got very, very committed to working on herself. You get very committed to work on you. You will be shocked at the change that takes place. And then very quickly, you're going to be wanting to share this with other people. That is the first thing that happens when people start to really get a grip on this and really start to understand themselves. They want to help others. It took me 9.5 years to find out why my life changed. I went from earning nothing, turning over $1 million a year, cleaning offices. I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. It was all over the place. I was earning all this money. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. None. I'd go to the Playboy down on Park Lane in London, England, by the London Hilton, play roulette. I didn't care if I lost because I knew where the money was. And one day, I don't know what it was, but something hit me, and I thought, what happened? How did my life change so dramatically? I went from earning nothing to earning millions. I couldn't figure it out. I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I was earning a lot of money, and I knew I wasn't very smart. I was raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't get a good job. I didn't have a good job. I owned the whole company. So I started to realize there's something's happened here that I don't understand. And I made up my mind I want to find out why I changed. That's how this all started. It took me 9.5 years. And when I found out how I changed, why I changed, all I wanted to do was teach it to other people. And that's exactly what I started to do.
That is so good.
You listen to what Kathleen's telling you. I'm going to tell you it's worth millions to you. It's worth literally millions to you. Now, she bought into that. She believed that a couple of years ago, and she's literally earned millions. Now, I'm not saying everybody that studies this earns millions, but she did and I did. If you do exactly what she tells you, it's going to happen because she's doing exactly what I'm saying. See, the trick is stay with the people that you know what they're doing. Study them. Do what they tell you. I do that myself. Look at this. See, this is a book holder on my desk. Now, why would I have a book held open on my desk? I went to visit Earl Nightingale in Chicago. His office was at 333 North Michigan in 1966. That's when I made the decision. And I saw a book holder on his desk. I was with him for an hour. He was the most listened to man in the history of the broadcasting industry at the time. He was considered the dean of personal motivation. I said, Earl, why do you have that book holder on your desk? Well, he said, I want to study what's on those pages. Well, I said, but you have to keep changing the pages? No. He said, I leave the same pages there until I know I'm doing everything that's about. I said, what? He said, I leave the same pages there until I know I'm doing what they're talking about.
Wow.
I made up my mind. I would always do that. And that's what I do. I do exactly what he said. Now, he's gone now, but he's still telling me what to do because I still follow the directions he gave me. I've had 7 great mentors. They're all gone. Today, the man that wrote that book, Thomas Troward, he wrote that in 1903. He's my mentor now. I study everything he ever wrote. He's one of the most phenomenal authors. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're looking at this as spending money, you're looking at it the wrong way. And if you have to borrow money to do this, go and borrow it. I'll tell you one thing. It'll probably be the last time you ever have to borrow money. I had to borrow $1,000. That was in 1961 to buy some used buckets and mops and a used floor machine. it made me millions of dollars. But I had to borrow it because I had no money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the man that I was following, that I was taking advice from, he always had money. He was very wealthy. And I took his advice, and that's how I built a company. In 1973, I took a pen and I wrote down, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. This company operates all over the world. What Kathleen's doing here, we have people doing in Israel, in Buenos Aires, in Shanghai, in Kuala Lumpur, Kota Kinabalu, all over the world. But I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to be honest with you, very honest. I don't think there's anyone in any of those places that does a better job than this woman. She is extraordinary. There's something about Kathleen Cameron that's different. I think I know what it is. I think it's her belief system. I think it's her ability to transfer this to other people. It's not just about her. When she learned about her, she knew then she could transfer it to others. And I think that's what it's about. I know that's what it is with me. I'm very good at this. I mean, very good. Now, I should be. This is all I do. I don't do anything else. And I study it every day. This woman is very good at this. She is very good at it. And when you invest to study with her, if you have to borrow the money, it'll be the last time you'll ever have to borrow money. That you can take that to the bank. That is a fact.
I am right there with you. It's the last time that I borrowed money was for the Thinking into Results program. And I know it's going to be the last. So.
Well, I know. And you see, that's where the change in the road comes from, Kathleen. Yeah. And you did it, and you do it so well. And I think that's why you're such a great coach, a great mentor, you know. I mean, listen, in a matter of 2 years, she not only changed her own life, she has people all over the world that she's impacting their lives. This is what you're getting. This is incredible. Quit talking to the person next door. Don't listen to your brother-in-law. Listen to the people that know what they're doing. When I sat in Earl Nightingale's office that day in 1966, I was leaving. I said, Earl, what is the big deal? What's the big secret? Because there's only 5-6% of the population that really make it happen. He said, well, there isn't any secret, Bob. He said, the real idea is find something you love to do and dedicate your life to it. He's the problem with most people, they don't know what they want to do. Well, I got really jazzed when he said that because I wanted to do what he was doing. And you know something? I've been doing it ever since. And that's what Kathleen's doing. Earl Nightingale was effective. He's gone now, God bless him, but he was so effective because he was helping other people. I'm very successful at this because I'm helping other people. Kathleen's very helpful and very successful because she's helping other people. You don't change by accident, you change by design. She's got the design for you.
I love that. What a good quote. I'm going to have to quote you. You don't change by accident, you change by design. That's so good.
Well,
so,
it's
Bob, yeah, it's completely true. I designed the version of myself that I desire to be. The difference is I didn't keep hoping I would be that way. I became her. I designed completely her and became it. And part of that is here with you today and impacting other people through this material. And I know many, many years ago, you devoted your life to this, Bob. And I can honestly say that I will devote the rest of my life to this without a shadow of a doubt. And I have so many others working with me who are doing the same thing. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on today, but more importantly for paving the way, because you spending all those years to figure out why you changed so quickly has paved the way for all of us coming after you to be able to learn from that knowledge, from what you've figured out about your change. So I'm so grateful for you, Bob. I'm grateful having you on today. I'm so excited for what the future holds. And for anybody who's listening, who's on here today, I know we've had a lot of people join us in the past few days. So congratulations for those that have. And for those that are thinking about it, those that want to feel that urge and feel that pull, the link will be in the comments here. But I would get in touch with somebody from my team, and we can help you to start to make the changes in your belief system that will help you move to that next level of your life and where you can make that impact you desire. So thank you so much, Bob. We'll let you get back to your day, but thank you.
Just before I leave, Kathleen, I want to suggest that make a decision right now that you're going to make this happen. Don't even look sideways. I don't care if you have to borrow the money from your grandmother. That's where I used to get it. That's why I say that. This will change your life forever. And people's lives don't change by accident. They do change by design. She's got the design. Follow exactly what she says. The investment you're making in this program is the investment you're making in yourself. I thank God that I've made that investment. You're going to too. No one's life just changes. You're operating by habit right now. Your paradigm is controlling you. You can pretty well predict where you're going to be 6 months from now. You get in this program, you can project where you're going to be, and you will be there by following the path that Kathleen lays down for you. It's a marvelous program. It works like unadulterated magic. So Kathleen, I really want to thank you for having me on. I look forward to working with you for a long time in the future. God knows you're one of the greatest. I was talking to Sandy Gallagher the other day, and she was bragging about you, about Kathleen Cameron. She said, that woman is something different. And I said, yeah, she really is. You know, Sandy Gallagher is different. You're something like her. You're different. You're changing lives like Sandy did. So I want to thank you for having me on, and I'm willing to come back anytime you want. And I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Bob. Have a beautiful Monday, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Chat soon.
Bye now.